What's up, everybody? Derek Anderson, the DA. All right, check this out. So this topic has been circling the internet for the last couple of days, and I find it absolutely hilarious. This manufactured outrage at the fact that Aquaman 2, which isn't doing very well at the box office at all, as it says, underperforming at the box office, and that fans are wondering why the Marvels took so much more flack than the new DC movie. Now, this is just utter horseshit. Let me just start off right off the bat, okay? This manufactured outrage. Why is it that the Marvels took so much more flack? Aquaman 2 is getting just as much flack. First of all, saying that it's underperforming is being kind. Both of these movies are flops. Both of these movies are going to flop. Now, one movie is going to definitely flop harder than the other movie, all right? And that's the Marvels, based on how much money they spent. Based on how much money they spent, the Marvels is going to absolutely flop harder than Aquaman, because I think both of these films are going to come somewhere in the same range in terms of their overall box office take. I think Aquaman might make slightly more. It's still going to flop, but it's going to make slightly more than the Marvels. That's just my opinion on what I think's going to happen, but I could be wrong. We'll see what happens at the end. But yeah, the internet, it says, has thoughts on why the Marvels is taking all of this flack. And I mean, the answers are so obvious. They're obvious to people that pay attention and have brain cells in their heads. So if you're an idiot and you're wondering, I wonder why this is happening. It must be misogyny and sexism. If that's the first thing that comes to your mind, you're an idiot, okay? You're an idiot. Get off the internet. Log off now, okay? You have no business being on the internet talking to regular, normal people. All right. That's the thing. So let's go through this article, and then I'm going to jump to some of the comments in Twitter because it's just as hilarious. Now, Weekend reports have made it clear Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom is underperforming at the box office. It's a giant flop. Let's just call it that. It's flopping at the box office. This was a fear that theater owners felt heading into the holiday season, and it has certainly manifested with some help from tepid Aquaman 2 reviews. However, now that the DC film's release is underperforming, fans are comparing it to the Marvels, and they have some thoughts as to why the Brie Larson starter took so much more flack than the DC movie. Now, for starters, to kind of answer some of the points here in this opening paragraph, this was a fear that owners had already felt heading into the holiday season. All right. Some people had already expected Aquaman 2 to bomb. They expected this to happen. All right. And why did they expect this to happen? Because James Gunn rebooted the whole universe. Like, how stupid do you have to be to even wonder about this crap? Yes, James Gunn rebooted the universe. So let's sit back and think about what that means. Okay. First of all, let's start with the Marvels. Is the Marvels in a rebooted universe? No, it's not in a rebooted universe. The Marvels is in a continuing universe. They're talking about taking the character of Ms. Marvel and putting her in a Young Avengers movie. They've been talking about it for weeks now. So it's clearly a continuing universe. Meanwhile, Aquaman 2 is the last film in the DCEU. It's it. That's it. It's over. Finite. Kaput. Finished. And we've known this for an entire year. We knew this back in January. James Gunn announced, hey, we're rebooting everything. It's a wrap. And I said it then, all four of these films, the DCEU films in 2023 are going to flop. Are going to flop. We didn't necessarily know that the Marvels was going to flop. You know, we were kind of curious, well, how will it do? Maybe it flops, maybe it doesn't flop. I expected it to flop, but a lot of people were, we don't know. Not only that, but The Marvels is the lowest grossing MCU movie of all time. I mean, out of all the MCU movies that have been made, that is the lowest grossing ever, going all the way back to 2008, So that alone deserves some different kind of recognition than just Aquaman sequel, And again, not to take anything away from it, it is a giant flop. But you just got to understand that these two universes, Marvel, DC, they're just not on equal footing. The Marvel Cinematic Universe is the biggest franchise moneymaker in history. It is a billion-dollar movie printing machine. It just churned them out. I think they made like 10. 10 out of the 33 or so Marvel Cinematic Universe movies cracked a billy. Whereas in the DCEU, only one movie cracked a billy, which was Aquaman, which was the original. But again, that shows you, they're just not on the same footing. Plus, the DCEU, as I stated before, is over. It's done. Marvel continues on. So they're not in the same, you're talking apples and oranges is what I'm saying. You're talking apples and oranges. It's just a completely different scenario, and we got to look at it as such. Comparing Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom to the Marvels, Aquaman 2 only made $28.1 million domestically opening weekend, with expectations of around $120 million worldwide if Monday's estimates pan out. The Marvels actually fared better domestically at 47 million, although worldwide it only made an additional 63 million on its opening outing, making for around $100 million cum. So Aquaman actually performed better than the Marvels did, with the 120 million worldwide versus 100 million worldwide overall. So yeah, I mean, like even with this comparison, they're already off base. It's not, they're just manufacturing their stupid outrage. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's also worth pointing out that both Captain Marvel and Aquaman were box office behemoths during their first outings on the big screen. So yeah, it says here Captain Marvel made 1.128 million at the box office. Aquaman made 1.152 million worldwide. So it's no surprise the two would have a similar trajectory this time around. What's the surprise is how low the numbers have been for both of these films. But see, the thing is, again, like I just said, they're two completely different scenarios we're talking about. Aquaman is the last movie in the DCEU. I don't think that is registering with people that this is it. This is the last movie in this movie cinematic universe. And it didn't end on some kind of an event. It's just a sequel to Aquaman. It's just another movie. Imagine if The Marvels was announced and we all knew that The Marvels was going to be the last MCU movie. Far less people would have went out and watched it. I can guarantee you that. Oh, this is it? That's it? Is it some kind of event? No, it's just a sequel to Captain Marvel. It's literally the same movie that we got. No big event, nothing. Just that's what it is. Yeah, that would have been like, oh, why am I watching this crap? There's not going to be any continuing information after this. The post-credit scenes that a lot of people hung on for these MCU films, that's not going to lead to anything. Why in the hell am I coming to watch this? That's exactly how people felt about Aquaman. Why am I coming to watch this crap? I'm not. I'll wait for HBO Max to put it out. And then I'll see it, and then I'll tell you if I liked it then. But I'm not going to waste money, especially how high ticket prices are. That's what we were talking about on the Pro Show. It's like, I was saying this, well, actually, I didn't make this point, but one of the points that I wanted to make was, you're going to have event films from here on out to get butts in seats. You are going to have to absolutely come out with some event bangers. Something like, let's say the last film, like I can imagine the last film in the MCU is not going to be like some sequel to Shang-Chi or something. It's going to be a huge movie. It's going to be a major event film. They're going to advertise it as such. They're going to try to put as many people in seats as possible. All right, you need event films now to get butts in seats. And then, yeah, you go on to Twitter and you got all of these cats, going above and beyond the Call of Duty for the Marvels, trying to make this movie into something it's not, basically. Like this chick says, the hate for Captain Marvel and the Marvels is just pure misogyny and sexism, and they just keep proving it. No, we're just calling them like we see them. Again, the movie sucked. We say it sucks. Nobody went to see it. The box office was garbage. And, is the box office, the bad box office, misogyny and sexism? Is that what they're saying? Again, more men went to watch the Marvels than women. 65% male audience went to see the Marvels. So what about all the women that didn't go and see it? Are they just pure misogyny and sexism? They didn't bother to check this movie out. They didn't even give it a chance. I ain't interested in this. I'm not watching this. Yeah, women didn't go to see this. Men went to see this. But it's all about misogyny and sexism. It's absolutely ridiculous. And this person says, if it was misogyny, can you explain to us why Terminator, Terminator 2, Aliens, Underworld, and finally Barbie did so well? Yeah. Again, because they were good movies that targeted their audience. And they told good stories. That's the reason why. All right? It's absolutely ridiculous. Sure, if you discount that it's a pretty bad movie with virtually no plot. Exactly. Like, oh, for the love of God, it's the failure of the movie doesn't have anything to do with sexism and misogyny. Aquaman tanked just as bad as the Marvels. Exactly. And again, if you want to talk about the reasons that Aquaman tanked versus the reasons that the Marvels tanked, I would look at that, and say, okay, why is it that these movies tanked? And then, like this person says up here, why did these other movies do so well? Why did Barbie, a female-centric movie, why did a female-centric movie do so well in the box office in the same year that the Marvels came out if it's all this sexism and misogyny roaming the landscape, just destroying all female-led films? Why is that? Oh, I don't know. I didn't think that far ahead. Exactly. You didn't think that far ahead, and you're just getting on the internet and just spewing out nonsense. Think. Use your brain. This person, notice how they're not doing the same with Aquaman 2. They're absolutely crushing Aquaman 2. I came out and said, look, Aquaman 2 is a movie where you got to leave your brain at the door if you want to enjoy it. If you leave your brain in your head, you're not going to enjoy this film. It's stupid. It's dumb fun. There's more dumb than fun. But if you leave your brain at the door, you might have a good time. That's what I said in my review. That's not a glowing review whatsoever. Okay? So I don't understand what they're talking about, man. This movie was just as bad, like all Will Ferrell attempts at comedy, or as bad as Hereditary. Hey, man, Hereditary, I thought was a great movie. You know, I don't know what you're talking about. Then why did men support it more than women? Exactly. They don't want to answer that question. That question requires them to think, you know? Oh, man, I got to use my brain to answer this question right here. Yeah, great question. I got to use my brain to answer this question. So, no, I'm not answering that. Let me just go ahead and skip on past that and keep on talking shit about, you know, oh, the misogyny and the sexism and all this other kind of crap. You know, ultimately, at the end of the day, both of these films are underperforming. And what we should be looking at again are the movies that are performing well. Let's take a look at Mario. Let's look at Barbie and Oppenheimer. Why did audiences get attracted to those films? Let's do some compare and contrast, good versus bad, because that's where we really learn our lessons. That's where we really learn from. And I did the whole comparison between One Piece and Ahsoka. Why is it that One Piece worked so well, and why did it attract so many more fans to its franchise than Ahsoka did for the Star Wars franchise? Where Ahsoka and Star Wars is, you know, presumably much more well-known and popular than One Piece. But One Piece did the job, Ahsoka didn't. Why? Those are comparisons that absolutely help. Because then you can start doing those contrasts and you go, you know what? I see where One Piece really focused in on its characters and it told a well-rounded story versus Ahsoka, which just had some gobbledygook and some fan service and Anakin Skywalker showing up. Oh, yeah. And that was it. That was it. That's all they had for us. And so you really have to start to dig into this stuff. A good comparison, and maybe I'll do it, is why is it that you had Barbie win and Carol lose? Like two female-centric franchises. Why did Barbie win and why did Carol lose? That's the question that you guys should be trying to make comparisons to. And you can do the same thing with Aquaman and Barbie, or Aquaman and Aquaheimer, or any of these other films. But to me, the Marvel stands out because it's the lowest grossing MCU movie of all time at a time where it shouldn't be, you know, and they spent more money than they needed to. And they spent a ton of bread on this, reshoots after reshoot after reshoot. Why is it that that movie did so well versus Barbie? And I have some thoughts. I think I will do that as a video. I have some thoughts on that because that's what really needs to be explored. Not all of this nonsense, misogyny. No, that has nothing to do with it. Okay. One movie just basically is in a different category than another, and that's the reason why more attention was paid to the Marvel Cinematic Universe and its bomb versus some dying franchise's last salvo, its last bomb. Good God almighty, man. It's like you're talking to children right now. It's unbelievable. Anyway, you guys let me know what you think about this whole situation. Jump down in the comments. Give me your thoughts and opinions on that. And thanks for watching. See you next time.